Drinkers of bottled water are the new smokers, says Giles Corden in Emily Potter, Gay Hawkins, and Kane Race's 2015 book, Plastic Water, The Social and Material Life of Bottled Water. Good afternoon, I'm Caitlin Black. When my parents moved me into my dorm room way back in August, they made sure to provide me with a huge 32-pack of water bottles that they set under my bed for my convenience. As school progressed, I found myself drinking more and more bottled water, instead of using a reusable water bottle like I had in high school after my environmental science teacher told me the dangers of plastic water bottles. After more research on this topic, I would like to tell you all why plastic is the wrong choice. All of us here today are college students, and most of us probably have a package of bottled water in our room. Even if we don't, the dining halls at Iona are stocked full of fridges full of bottled water, when there are fountains for reusable water bottles throughout campus. Our moms buy water bottles to send us to school with, and most of us refuse to even consider drinking the tap water that comes from our sinks. Today, first off, I would like to start by talking about the negative impacts that plastic water bottles can have on the environment and how using reusable water bottles can reverse these negative effects. Next, we will talk about how plastic water companies are actually not giving us anything that tap water is not. Finally, I'd like to tell you about the economic effects of plastic water bottles and how reusable water bottles can relieve some of these economic troubles. By the end of this speech, I would like you all to stop buying plastic water bottles and instead purchase a reusable water bottle for all your hydration needs. First, let's talk about the negative impacts that plastic water bottles can have on the environment. The December 12, 2007 hearing before the Subcommittee on Domestic Policy entitled Assessing the Environmental Risks of the Water Bottling Industry's Extraction of Groundwater tells us that the manufacturing process of making a water bottle creates hazardous and toxic waste like vinyl chloride. These chemicals are terrible for our oxygen and ozone layer and can help to bring about global warming quicker. Also, the bottles themselves can take over 100 years to degrade in a landfill, and more are being trapped in the notorious Great Pacific Garbage Patch, which is a floating mass of marine debris, mostly plastics, which is believed to be bigger in area than the state of Texas. Landfills are also dangerous because as the plastic sits, it leaches dangerous chemicals into the ground, which in turn appear in our soil, where our food is grown, and our groundwater that we drink. When trash is instead burned, the plastic water bottle creates deadly toxins that are released into our air supply. Bottles also require huge amounts of fossil fuel to be manufactured. It is said that if you fill a plastic water bottle with liquids that is around 1/4 full, that is around how much oil it took to produce that bottle alone. This is a single-use item that we dispose of after we're done with one use, so that's a lot of oil. One last shocking environmental hazard of bottled water is that the plastic making process that we use requires over 2 gallons of water to make 1 gallon of the water that is bottled. This means that we're using precious water to make bottled water, when instead we could have 3 gallons of water for drinking. Transportation of the bottled water also adds to global pollution, which aids global warming and the amount of carbon in our atmosphere. Now that you know the negative environmental effects that drinking bottled water can have, let's talk about how the bottled water industries are not giving us what we think we are getting. In a June 2009 report to congressional requesters by the United States Government Accountability Office entitled Bottled Water, FDA Safety and Consumer Protections are often less stringent than comparable EPA protections for tap water, the GAO asserts that consumers often believe that bottled water is safer or healthier than tap water. However, a report done on this same issue found that bottled water may be no safer or healthier for the consumer than tap water that sells for 1,000 times the price. This is because the absence of standards regulating bottled water. In fact, there are more standards regulating tap water in the United States than there are for the bottled water industry. The vast majority of bottled water that we drink does not come from the sparkling springs that we believe it does, but instead from the public water supply. However, we don't know this because bottled water are not required to list the source of their water on the label. So very few people know that we are purchasing glorified tap water for around 1,000 times the price. In a very notorious case, Bottlers were selling water that came from a well located near a hazardous waste site to consumers. In another, bottled water claiming to be pure glacier water was simply bottled water from the public water supply in Alaska. The FDA does not regulate bottled water like we think it does, and this is deceiving the public. This deception makes us think that we are drinking some special type of water, when in reality, we are drinking filtered tap water in most cases, and sometimes even just tap water in a fancy bottle, which we can do in our own homes, without the terrible environmental and economic effects of bottled water. We've talked about the environmental effects of bottled water, and how the companies are not giving us what we think we are buying. Now, let's look at the economic effects of the plastic water bottle industry. The United States plastic water bottle market has been steadily increasing since the early 2000s. In the year 2014, the market saw a sharp increase in volume growth, and the market is predicted to continue to grow in the forecasted period until the year 2019. In 2014, the market of United States bottled water had a total revenue of approximately $23 million. According to MarketLine's industry report of the bottled water industry titled Bottled Water Industry Profile, United States, which was published in July 2014, 80.3% of the market value was generated by sales of still, unflavored water, making this the most lucrative segment. This tells you that the bottled water that we could be getting from our own taps is making these companies millions of dollars each year. This brings us to my visual aid, which is two figures. The first shows the United States bottled water market in value in millions of dollars, in which you can see not only the increase in the number of millions of dollars that the water bottle companies are making, but also the drastic increase of around 6% growth between 2013 and 2014. The next is a chart which shows these same statistics, but in a table form, so that you can see just how much the market has grown. Between 2010 and 2014, the bottled water market value grew by over $3 million in revenue, showing that more and more people are starting to purchase plastic water bottles instead of switching over to reusable bottles like our country and environment is begging us to do. Imagine a world where the air we breathe is so polluted that we can barely meet the oxygen needs required for each person. In this world, having plastic bottles are a priority, even over the dying earth. Global temperatures have skyrocketed, and all of our money is being put into the bottled water industry because of our nation's addiction. The bottles that are discarded fill all of our nation's landfills, and our tap water is becoming toxic because all of the hazardous chemicals that the bottles are leaching into the ground. This world could be a reality if we do not say no to plastic water bottles now. Now that you've seen that plastic water bottles are disastrous to the economy and environment without warning, you may be asking yourself, what can I do to solve this problem? The answer is simple. Using reusable water bottles not only cuts down the huge amount of money that plastic water bottles are bringing in, but also you can help the environment by not using plastic water bottles every day. Some people think that this solution is difficult because it would involve going out and purchasing a bottle, which is money in itself. But a reusable water bottle is only a one-time fee of around $20 to $30, while purchasing a new pack of plastic water bottles every time you run out can really add up. Also, if you consider that the dining hall costs around $2 to purchase a bottle of water, you can calculate that you're spending over $30 a week on plastic water bottles if you're drinking around 2 to 3 per day, which is more than the initial investment for a reusable water bottle. To wrap things up, plastic water bottles can be detrimental to our environment and can cause major economic strain without warrant. Using a reusable water bottle can help to fix these problems and slowly wean the nation off of the plastic water bottle craze. Saying that plastic water bottles are our generation's smoking, while a bold statement, is true in today's world. We are addicted to buying plastic water bottles instead of using the perfectly better alternative of reusable water bottles. Now that I've told you about the disastrous environmental effects of plastic water bottles, how you are paying for water that you could get from a tap for your reusable water bottles, and how plastic water bottles are having a major nationwide and worldwide economic effect that reusable water bottles could help to fix, I hope that you agree that we should cease to buy plastic water bottles. Go out and purchase your reusable water bottle at almost any department or convenience store. I know for a fact that they sell them for around an initial investment of $20 at the CVS right on North Avenue near Iona. Thank you. I'm Caitlin Black.